الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
إن الحمد لله نحمده سبحانه ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا إنه من يهده الله تعالى فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. Indeed, all praises for Allah. We seek His help, we seek His guidance, and we praise Him. And we seek refuge with Him from the evil of ourselves and from the sins that we do. Indeed, whomsoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides, there is no one to misguide, and whomsoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala misguides, there is no one that shall guide him. And alhamdulillah, this is another Friday, this is another Jummah we have been blessed with. And subhanAllah, it's, when the Prophet ﷺ told us that on Jummah, we should, the one who, that we should read Surah Al-Kahf, you know? And I was thinking this morning when what am I going to talk about, and then I was like, you know, subhanAllah, that there's Surah Al-Kahf it's beautiful. It has beautiful, I guess the word is hidden meanings. You know, we just read it. We don't just read it. We say we read it. Okay, we read it. I did my work. That's it. We don't think about what we're reading. And subhanAllah, so it's just something we need to like keep in mind. You know, we're reading. Maybe we can try to think whatever. Just remember, we're reading it for a reason. That the Prophet ﷺ told us read this specific surah, not any other surah, not Surah Isra or some other surah. Just this surah, Surah Al-Kahf, for a reason. And there's just so many beautiful lessons from this one surah. And it's just something we need to incorporate into our daily lives. So, subhanAllah, it's just, I want today's topic to be about this surah. So, you know, the focuses of this one surah is that there are stories that have concise like lessons for us, you know. So like first of all, we have the story of the people of the cave. I think we all know the story of the people of the cave. They were from a society that did not worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they were afraid because they were like, okay, they're gonna torture us. So they ran away. Some youth ran away, and they hid in a cave. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put them to sleep for a couple of years. Well, not years. For about 300 years. And then they woke up and the whole world was changed around. And subhanAllah, this is something we need to keep in mind. First of all, there's one thing is that peer pressure. We don't just listen to the community around us. Society says do something, and we're just gonna do it. No, we have to keep an open eye. Oh, am I gonna listen to them, or are they saying something wrong? Are they saying something right? Do I need to follow? Should I follow? All of these kind of things. And then there's another point that if you disagree, because they're doing something wrong, you have your community with you. You have it was not just one youth who left, it was many youth, right? And the Prophet ﷺ said that the wolf, he gave the example, the wolf, where does it go? Does it go to the sheep that's alone by itself? Or does it go to the sheep that's going to be with the whole crowd? No, it goes to the sheep that's alone. And he gave the example, this is like how shaitan comes. He goes to the person that's alone. And we have another hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said, it's better, the shaitan it's easier for the shaitan to come to the person who's alone than the person who's with another person. And it's easier for the shaitan to come to the person who's with who's just two people than just for the person with three people. And just like that, we have to keep our tight-knit community. We have our community here, we have Muslims. We stay with the Muslim people. We don't go to do something wrong. We don't go to we don't waste our time spending it with people who are doing wrong things, because we have the people who are doing right things around us, and we need to surround ourselves with them, because otherwise we're going to fall into wrong. Because this is how it is, peer pressure. You're just going to accept some wrong, and then eventually it's going to be wrong. So that's one thing. The first story, the people of the cave. One is that where we go, we stay away from the wrong. If we see wrong and we can't fix it, we leave, we get out. And then we don't just leave by ourselves, we take our people with us, we take the people who have similar, the correct mindset with us. Then the second story is the story of the person who had two gardens. He had two gardens. He had a friend who had no gardens yet, but he had two gardens himself. There was beautiful garden, trees, vines, rivers, everything. And he was saying that he was just proud of his accomplishment. He didn't say Alhamdulillah. He didn't do anything. He didn't think of how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed him. All he was thinking is, oh, I planted this, I did this, it's all mine, it's all my work. None of it comes from Allah. And his friend is telling him, that's not how it works. You have to say Alhamdulillah. This is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed you with this. It's not just your work. And then this arrogant man who says it's all mine, he says, I don't even think I'm going to return to Allah. And even if he does, even if I do, of course he's going to give you something better. And subhanAllah, it's just, first of all, it's just two things we can take, right? One is, don't be arrogant. We're not, anything we're achieving in this life, whether good or bad, if you want to say it that way, it's not coming from us, it's coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the bad that's coming to us is not just coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's coming because of punishment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because of what we were doing. This arrogant man, he was so proud of his garden. You know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did? He brought a thunderstorm, he destroyed the garden. He destroyed the garden, this garden that he was so proud of. And not just because it was out of punishment for his greed, his pride, his arrogance. How he was like, oh, it's all me. And that's one side. We say that we don't be arrogant. We say Alhamdulillah, we be humble. We understand that everything good that we have in this life comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then on the other side, we have his friend that said, that was warning him, saying that no, come on, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed you with this. It's not just from nowhere. So from that side, we see that we can take an ayat. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kunu qawwamina bil qisti shuhada'a lillahi wa ala anfusikum. you're gonna stand for the justice always, because you're in front of Allah. When you're gonna stand in front of Allah, you're gonna say, "Oh Allah, I didn't want to tell the person who was wrong because he was my brother, he was my friend. I didn't want to tell him he was wrong." No, we have to know that we're going to, anytime we see a wrong, anytime, anywhere, we see a wrong, we're going to say it, even if it's ourselves. Even we see ourselves doing wrong, we're going to say, "Sorry, we did something wrong, fix it." If we see our brothers doing something wrong, we're going to tell them, fix it. If we see our friends doing something wrong, we're going to tell them, you have to fix it. If we see our children doing something wrong, we're going to tell them, you have to fix it. And that's the other side. One side is don't be arrogant. The other side is stop people from doing wrong. And the Prophet ﷺ also said, if you see something wrong, you should fix it with your hands. You should do some physical action against it. Whatever sort of physical action you can. If you can't do physical action, you're gonna speak about it. If you can't do speaking about it, what are you gonna do? You're gonna feel it in your heart. You're gonna feel this pain in your heart that, oh, this person is doing something wrong. And that's what the Prophet said, that's the weakest form of iman. That's the least you can do. If at least you're not doing something about it, you have to feel some sort of that. If you're gonna say, "Oh, it's fine, it's just what it is, it's just what it is," you don't feel anything bad in your heart. This is something you need to feel, that, oh, he's doing something wrong, I'm doing something wrong, I can't do anything about it. Something, you have to feel that much. That's the weakest form of iman, the Prophet said. If you're not feeling any sort of wrong, then that's something you need to fix within yourself. Then the next story, we come to Musa alayhi salam, and he is with the man. So the story is, the Prophet said that the Prophet Musa alayhi salam was alone. Well, not alone. He was with his community, and some person came up to him and he said, "Yeah, Musa, who is the most knowledgeable person?" And Musa alayhi salam, he's the prophet. He's the person he's the prophet. He's someone who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks to, and he's like, "It's me." And also I was angry at him. He was like, "You're just proud of yourself. You're gonna say, 'Oh, I know this much.' You're just gonna say it like that. Well, there's another person in this earth right now who's smarter than you, and you'll go to him, and you'll learn from him." And so Musa alayhi salam took his servant. They took the fish with them. Then the fish escaped when they were sleeping. The servant forgot, and then they went forward. They came back, and they met the man. The man was more knowledgeable. And here we see that the man who was more knowledgeable did some seemingly wrong things. And then Musa alayhi salam was like, "What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing?" And then in the end, Musa alayhi salam saw that the man was doing these wrong things for a good reason, because of the knowledge that Allah taught him. He made a hole in the ship because there was a king in the ship who was stealing all the good ships because he wanted all the good ships for himself. Then there was also he killed the boy because the boy was going to become a problem for his family. He was going to leave Islam, and he was going to cause great sadness for his family. Then we see the wall, he fixed it because under the wall there was a treasure for two little boys who would not be able to keep the money for themselves until they grew older. And so then Musa was like, "Okay, I see." And this story has so many lessons. First of all, again, we have a repeat of arrogance. We don't just say that, "Oh, it's me, it's me, it's me." No, it's also that, and sometimes we're not, and Musa in Surah Yusuf also said, وَفَوْقَ كُلِّ ذِي عِلْمٍ عَلِيمٍ, that on top of every person with knowledge, there's someone more knowledgeable. Don't ever think yourself to be the most knowledgeable person ever. Don't ever think yourself to be this. Don't ever think yourself to be that. There's always someone. Understand that. There's always a bigger fish. And then the second thing is that Musa alayhi salam came, and immediately he sees someone doing wrong, and he just said, "What what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? And it's not that we see wrong, we should fix it. Yes, like we said, if you see it's wrong, you should fix it with your hand. If you can't do it with your hand, you do it with your mouth. If you can't do it with your mouth, then feel something wrong in your heart. But it's not just that. You have to sometimes you have to use your intellect. You have to look at it. You have to see. Sometimes you have to see, is what they're doing actually wrong, or does it seem wrong? Is this person doing just straight up doing wrong, or do they have a reason? And even then, even if they're just doing wrong, is it better for me to just say, oh, you're doing something wrong, you're doing something wrong? Or is it better to just wait and try to have from a calm conversation? Like, for example, why are you doing this? Something like that. Do you know, is there? Do you know if there's? Something you can have a conversation with them, and you can. It's easy. It's better to have a conversation with them than to say, "Oh, you're doing something wrong," and get straight into an argument. Because if they're convinced that what they're doing is right, how is an argument gonna get you anywhere? And this is like, we have to watch out how we're like, sure, we might think we know better than someone that, oh, this is wrong. But sometimes they might know better as to why they're doing it, that they have a good reason. And inshallah, we're going to do the last story for the next segment of the khutbah, inshallah. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله وكفى والصلاة على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد. Now, just to recap, first of all, we're discussing the main lessons of Surah Al-Kahf and what we can take for our day-to-day lives, And so first we had the first story. We discussed the test of society, how we need to move away from the bad parts of society and yet keep to the good parts of the society. Because if we don't have the good parts of society with us, then we're going to be stuck in problems from the shaitan. And if we get stuck in the bad part of society, we're going to fall into the bad habits of the bad parts of society. Then we discussed the story of the man with two gardens, and we saw the two main points of, one was arrogance, the second was going against going against any sort of wrong wherever you see it. Then we discussed the story of Musa alayhi salam. We saw the perils of the tests of knowledge, whether you think you know better than someone or you might not, and how that we need to that sometimes someone can know better than us, and we need to accept that. Then we come to the next and the last story, the story of DarulHedayah. This test, the first test was society. The second test was wealth. The third test was knowledge. The last test is power. This man, DarulHedayah, he had power over, as they said, from the east to the west. There was nothing on earth that wasn't his. And this man, he was traveling, and he came across this community. Allah asked him, "What are you going to do?" He said, "You're just going to conquer them. What are you going to do about them?" And he said, and so this man, even though he had all this power, he said, the person who does right, he will be rewarded justly. But the person who does wrong, we're going to punish him, and then in the next life, he will be punished more. So this is like, he had like his humility, he was like, I'm not judging just by my own case, I'm judging by what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did. How Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how they're listening to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then we move on, then he comes to this place where there's people that are being raided by Ya'juj and Ma'juj. And he said, okay, I'm going to help you. And he made the wall. We all know about the wall. He created the wall out of this, and then he poured molten. I forgot. He poured some sort of hot liquid on it. Then that was the wall. And he said, when Allah wills, He's going to he's going to destroy this world. So from this story, we see two main things. First of them is no matter how much power you have to be humble. You have to show your humility in front of Allah Subhanahu. He said, first of all, he conquered this place, and he said, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala's laws are what guides me to do with these people, whether I punish them or reward them. It's not my choices, it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's laws. I'm humble even though I have this power, even though I govern from east to the west, I govern everything that everyone knows about. It's still my power, it's small in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's insignificant in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Second of all is that whenever we see something wrong, whenever we see someone who needs help, we come and help them no matter what. Even we have, there's two hadiths when it comes to this. One of them was that the Prophet ﷺ said, help your brother against any wrong, whether he is the oppressed or the oppressor. And the Sahabas were like, Ya Rasulullah, we understand how to help them if they're oppressed, but how are we supposed to help them if they're the oppressor? And the Prophet ﷺ said, you're going to stop him from doing his oppression. You're going to stop him. You're going to get in the way between him and the wrong he's doing. Then the second hadith is that, this is not hadith. This is Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu. He said, I would love to walk with my brother in the town to help him with his need, rather than sit in the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ and do i'tikaf in there for a month. He would rather, this Ibn Abbas, he's saying that I would rather help my brother with something he needs than stay in the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ for a month doing i'tikaf. And first of all, i'tikaf, the reward of just staying in the masjid and doing your seclusion there, that's the reward is just unimaginable. And then beyond that, in the Prophet ﷺ's masjid, the reward is going to be multiplied. He's saying all of that is incomparable to me than helping my brother. And whenever we see a brother or someone in a difficult situation, we need to come to their help. Then again, humility. He said when Dhul-Qarnayn helped the tribe, the community, he said, this wall, it's just here because of Allah's will. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills, it's going to go down and it's going to perish. And then they're going to come, the Ya'juj and Ma'juj is going to come back to the world. And then that's another thing, that qadr of Allah, that it's always, at the end, everything comes to an end. Whether it's, whatever it is. And just to recap one last time. The first story was the story of the people of the cave, and it discussed the tests of society. Whether you're moving too much close to society, to the bad parts of society, or keeping to your good part of society without leaving all of society. Then the second test was the test of wealth. Understand that Allah gave it to you, and also from the other side of the story, we saw that his friend was telling him he was doing something wrong. You need to advise your brother whenever they're doing something wrong, or you need to advise them to do right as well. Then the third test was the test of knowledge. So Musa he needed to understand that there's someone who always knows more than him, and sometimes we need to be wise when it comes to using our knowledge. It's not just knowledge, it's wisdom and knowledge. They're not the same thing. We need to use both hand in hand. Wisdom and knowledge, not just wisdom, both together. Then we saw the test of power and how we need, even no matter how much power we have. Dhul-Qarnayn, there's no one comparable to him. No one has that kind of power. No one has that kind of power. They moved from the east to the west, but still he was humble in front of Allah. And that's basically all for today, inshallah. May Allah allow us to benefit from what's said and heard. اللهم في المسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات إنك سميع قريب مجيب الدعوات. اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم انصر أعداء. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم دمر أعداءك أعداء الدين. اللهم كن معنا ولا تكن علينا. اللهم آتنا ولا تحرمنا. اللهم زدنا ولا تنقصنا. وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد والحمد لله رب العالمين. وأقم الصلاة.
الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قام الصلاة قام الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
استووا. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب ولم يجعل له عوجا قيما لينذر بأسا شديدا من لدنه ويبشر المؤمنين الذين يعملون الصالحات أن لهم أجرا حسنا ماكثين فيه أبدا وينذر الذين قالوا اتخذ الله ولدا ما لهم به من علم ولا لآبائهم كبرت كلمة تخرج من أفواههم إن يقولون إلا كذبا فلعلك باخع نفسك على آثارهم إن لم يؤمنوا بهذا الحديث أسفا إنا جعلنا ما على الأرض زينة لها لنبلوهم أيهم أحسن عملا وإنا لجاعلون ما عليها صعيدا جرزا. الله. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله الله أكبر. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. قل لو كان البحر مدادا لكلمات ربي لنفد البحر قبل أن تنفد كلمات ربي ولو جئنا بمثله مددا قل إنما أنا بشر مثلكم يوحى إلي أنما إلهكم إله واحد فمن كان يرجو فليعمل عملا صالحا ولا يشرك بعبادة ربه أحدا. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.